Well, this month we're going to be looking at, that's the title of our series, Focus. And we're going to be looking at what happens when we focus on God or when we focus on other things. And the children of Israel have, in the story of Exodus, have been delivered out of Egypt, brought through the Red Sea, brought through the desert, and now God has brought them to himself, to the Mount Sinai, where he is going to come down and show himself. And when they see him, when they focus on him and see him for who he is, this mighty Lord, what happens is that they are completely changed from the inside out. And God shows them how this change, he tells them about this change and shows them how this change takes place. And so when you see the Lord and when you see who he is and his glory and just how awesome and loving and gracious and merciful and amazing and righteous he is, it changes you from the very inside out. It changes who you are. When you focus on him, when he holds your attention, you worship him. All of life becomes your worship of him. And this is exactly what we see in Exodus 19 and 20. God comes down on this mountain. It says he comes down as like this billowing fiery kiln that is just coming down, shaking this mountain, and it is fearsome. And yet the children of Israel are a little scared, but God calls Moses up to himself. And so God there speaks to Moses. And this is what he tells them, is he gives Israel a new identity. The first thing he gives them and tells them is who they are. And this is amazing. When you focus on the mighty Lord, he gives you a mighty new identity. Their identity before this time is that they were slaves. They were slaves of Egypt. They had a taskmaster. And they even, through the wanderings of the wilderness, getting to this mountain, were kind of saying, oh man, I wish I could go back to Egypt. Their hearts were still slaves, and yet God is about to give them a new identity. And this is what he tells them. He says that you are my treasured possession. He has chosen them out of all the other nations, that they are a kingdom of priests, and so that they can have direct access to him and worship him, and that he will live in their midst as an entire nation, each person, and that they are a holy nation, that they are holy, that they're going to be different than all the other nations, and because God is the one who defines them, makes them different. And so this new identity he gives them, he says, now this is who you are. I've saved you, and now this is who you are. When you see the mighty Lord, you see that he then changes you. When you focus on him, he changes your very identity. And he says, you are mine. You are my treasured possession. You are a kingdom of priests. You are a holy nation. And then he gives them their law. And the law was not something there to kind of keep them in line or anything like that. It was actually there to show them how to live out this new identity. Because he has saved them, they are now to live differently in this world. And how are they going to live? They are to worship him alone, make him their sole God. And so they're not going to have any other idols. They're not to worship any images. There is nothing that is going to be between them and God. It is going to be him and him alone, that he is going to be their life. He is going to be defining every aspect of their life. They are to worship him alone. His name they bear, and so they're not to take it in vain, but they are to represent God in this world. They are to set one day aside to focus and worship him alone, not just work and provide for themselves, but recognize he is their provider. That they are to honor their father and mother. They are not to murder, but to protect other people's lives. They are not to commit adultery, but protect marriage and the purity of others. They are not to bear false witness, but to tell the truth and speak the truth even when it's not easy. They are to not covet other people's things, but be content with what they have. And so all of these commands are there to show them how they're to live differently in this world. Where the very same thing is true of us. That God delivered us through his son, Jesus Christ, from slavery of sin. And that used to be our identity. What we did defined us. We were sinners, and that defined us. But because of Jesus Christ, he has delivered us from that. And when we focus on who God is, on Jesus Christ is, that he gives us a new identity. You are his treasured possession, a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. And that you are to live that out by following these 10 commands. And that following the 10 commandments does not make you these things. You already are these things because Jesus Christ has delivered you. And so it's now living as one who is grateful and who is saved. And so that is how we are to live in this world. When you focus on God, he redefines you in every area of your life. And so focus on him, the mighty Lord, and worship him today. All your life becomes an act of worship when he is your focus, not just a part of your day, but all of your day. Well, I hope this was an encouragement. Have a great day.